Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video guide for Ark Survival Evolved. Today in this video, folks, I'm going to show you absolutely everything that you need to know about taming a phoenix in Ark. Normally, I tend to stick to 10-minute videos, 10 to 15-minute videos, and try and present as much information within that time gap. However, this is going to be slightly longer because there is a lot to show and tell. So the very first thing that you need to know about the Phoenix is that you can only find it on the Scorched Earth DLC, and of course only during the heat waves. To tame it, you need to set it ablaze, so you can use a flamethrower, which is very inefficient, but it does work. It is very expensive to make, and because of this, it is a passive tame. You will need to kite it into a trap, otherwise it does tend to fly around. So I'm going to show you two traps, two ways of taming it, and obviously the problems that you can encounter. So this first trap right here is more of a PvP sort of trap. It is set on pillars, as you can see. I went too tall with that. The trap itself is 2 by 4 tall, so the base of the trap, well, the ceilings that I'm walking on are basically 4 by 4. So what I've done, as you can see, I'm using metal dinosaur gateways, and on the side I am using the metal door frames. The door frames are 4 tiles tall, and then it's 2 by 2 by 2, so pretty much a square. I have sectioned it off, split it in half, so at the 2 walls tall I've put some ceilings. That's the perfect height you want to layer your trap at, and you do want to layer the trap. It is quite important. So this is more like a little honeycomb. This is the initial part of the trap. So what I can suggest with this is set up the trap and build it before you place down the gate. Place the gate and the gateway as the last thing to do. So I'm going to show you this from outside. I've got ramps and walls up along the side of the trap just to allow me easier access. So I'm going to show you how to kite a phoenix. We've got a heat wave coming in. Of course, I've used admin commands for the purposes of this. I'm not going to wait for a heat wave to actually take place. There is my phoenix right there. So I am going to use rare flowers. Now there is some pros and cons to mention here with this, in that it does aggro the phoenix, but as you can see, it will also aggro other creatures around it. Whilst other creatures will maintain aggro on you a lot longer, the phoenix tends to lose aggro on you in about half that time. So it's very important to note, basically it aggroes the phoenix, but the phoenix's aggro on you will last a lot less. So that means you will have to use multiple flowers. You will have to basically, there we go, that's the bird right there. Another thing to note about using the rare flower method to kite the phoenix is, if you use flower after flower, the way it works out is on the first flower the phoenix will lose aggro, and then on the second flower the flower will not have effect on the phoenix, and then on the third flower it will aggro once again. Once you got it to your trap, what you want to do is you want to fly underneath it. That's why we have the pillars down there, so that you can kite it, because the phoenix does tend to fly quite high. So basically you will most likely be kiting the phoenix into the trap downwards. It is a bit of a small entrance for the phoenix, so it may take several attempts to do that. Be careful not to be hit by it, because it will set you ablaze, so it's very important, that right there. Now, luckily for me, the phoenix is aggroed on my trap, so that gives me time to deal with the problems that I have. So it may take several attempts, to keep that in mind. Eventually, with persistence, you will end up in a situation where you get the phoenix in the trap. It can take quite a bit of work, and in all honesty, the chances of you taming it on the heat wave where you kited it into the trap are very slim, simply because of how derpy the phoenix's AI is with regards to aggro. Luckily for me, it just flew in. So now it's in the trap. I am still probably under the effect of the rare flower, so I'm going to land sideways. I do not want to re-aggro the phoenix in such a way that it flies out of the trap. I'm going to shut the trap, and that is pretty much it. Now you can start taming it from this point, and any and everything that you put in will carry on onto the next heat wave. It is now trapped for this particular heat waves. The whole thing here is you don't want to get too close to it, especially if it is still aggroed on you. But the bright side is it does lose aggro fairly quick. So you can use, as I said, a flamethrower. I'm going to use a flamethrower for this first section just to kind of show you how inefficient it is. Do bear in mind that throughout this video, the taming rate, it is set to 3 times. So on a 1 times taming server, it will take a long time. But a flamethrower will pretty much have 2 uses before you need to get another one, and they are quite expensive to make. So I'm still using the flamethrower. The heat wave is about to go out. Do not panic about that, because on the next heat wave it will respawn in and maintain its already tamed bar. But there is a catch, so this is why this video is slightly longer. I just kind of want to show you how things work over here. So as I said, now my flamethrower broke. So basically a normal flamethrower that has no quality on it has 2 uses. While the flamethrower is effectively inefficient with regards to taming a phoenix, it is a good option to use if you do not have a fire wyvern. So let's talk about the next heat wave. Because you already have a phoenix in your trap, whilst you cannot see it, it is still there and it will respawn on the next heat wave. You will want to extend your trap height wise, and you want to add 3 sections, and by a section I mean a 2x2 at least, and 2 tall. If you add only 2 sections, it will spawn where the 3rd section would have been and it flies off. If you add 1 section or 2 sections, it will do the exact same thing. So 3 is the magic number here. Just the way the mechanics work with regards to when this bird respawns. So I'm going to show you this practically here. The heat wave has gone, so it's now gone 1 level up. I've already got a level. That means I had to have another 2 levels ready for the next heat wave. So I'll go and do that now, and then we will start up the heat wave just to kind of show you what it looks like. So basically, if you're going to build this trap on top of your base, you basically want to have a tower sort of trap with ramps going all the way around it so that you can access it at any given time. That is the idea behind taming it. Now I'm guessing that here the game mechanics want to spawn the phoenix outside of your base, so it goes through 2 ceilings. However, it doesn't go past the 3rd ceiling, so for that reason we'll need to add several levels. Obviously, for the purposes of explaining and showcasing the mechanics here, I am using cheats and admin commands and stuff like that, because it's very important to understand how the Phoenix's AI is set up. So I'm going to put some ceilings right here. Whoops, did not mean to put that there, but it is very important, and you can't tame it. Once you have it in your trap, it's, you know, the job is half done. It's just a matter of being patient. So I'm going to set up here so I can show you what will happen. We're going to start off the heat wave. Remember, it was on the 2nd level, so it should spawn on the last level now. It looks like it will spawn on top, but it does not. So you can see the ashes, and it's now on the last level. So the way this works out is from where it despawns, you will want to add 2 levels. Actually, you'll want to add 3 levels, because it will spawn in the 3rd level. Now, very important to note here is you want to have your sections in the trap of 2 walls tall. Now, you may find yourself lucky from time to time with a phoenix like this that is pretty much trapped itself in a little corner here. This is going to be very rare. In this case, you can use a wyvern to just blow your fire breath on it, and it will start taming. If you're going to do this though, I do strongly suggest that you kind of use the wyvern's head as a trap. Now what I mean by that is the wyvern's head and neck will have a hitbox, and the phoenix cannot fly through it. So if you hover the wyvern's head above the phoenix, you should be able to pretty much trap it. Then just start blowing your fire breath on it and wait for it to tame. If the heat wave finishes before you manage to tame it, I will show you what to do in the next section. It is quite important, because I will show you how to tame a phoenix that is out and about, and how to build a trap around the phoenix. So basically, you'll be bringing the trap to the phoenix. There we go. Very important to note here is that the phoenix does not ever land. Okay, so you are in the wild, you see this wonderful creature, there is a heat wave. So what do you do with it now? your base is well far away, and by the time you get it back to your base, it is probably going to despawn because the heat wave will finish. So what you do is you want to fly above it, very important here, and you want to keep your eye on it at all times. When the heat wave goes away, it will despawn and ashes will fall to the ground. Now I did not see where the ashes fell exactly, so I'm going to have to start guessing. So because the phoenix is on the ground somewhere here invisibly, obviously, I will use a structure that I can place on the ground to try and pretty much sweep the area to find its location. Basically the way this works out is if it's there, I can't build on top of it. So that is basically what I'll be doing. So I'll catch you guys when I actually locate where this phoenix has fallen. Alright, here is the location of the phoenix. I know that this is a location because there are no rocks. There's no reason whatsoever for me not being able to place the pillar or the foundation. And every time I try and hover above that, I get the message that says I can't place pillar because it is obstructed. So I know that that's where my phoenix is. I'm going to try and gauge the circumference of the ashes so I can build a trap around it. So as you can see, every time I attempt to place a pillar where the phoenix's ashes should be, I get the message, can't place pillar here, obstructed. So that means there's something there that is obstructing my ability to place down the pillar. That's basically where the phoenix has now landed. If I look underneath the map using K, I can't see anything. So basically the phoenix goes invisible, but it is still there. That is very important to know. And with this, we'll start building a trap. The very first thing for this, you will need, of course, the metal or stone fence foundations. I am going for metal. I'm going to go for a 2x2 trap. You can try and do it with a 1x1, but it is a bit trickier. I prefer to have that extra wiggle room just in case I don't want the phoenix to spawn outside of the trap. We're going to go with 2 walls tall all the way around. Of course, we're not going to place walls. We're going to place door frames. Now we're going to want to place some ceilings, but notice that you can't do that. So the next workaround with this is to use pillars to create a foundation for the ceilings. And you want to always start from the highest point, because otherwise you will end up with problems where you will be obstructing your ceilings. So we're going to start from the highest point, from the highest wall, and I will place a pillar right here. So we want to snap it right in front of the door frame. Same thing on the other side. Basically, you start with the corner. We go 2 tall and then 2 tall once again. These will be the supporting structures for the ceilings. And now we can start placing the ceilings down once I get them right. Let me just have a look here. There we go. Yeah, I did have them in my hotbar. So now we can start layering up the trap. Remember, the phoenix has landed on the ground, so we want 2 levels between the phoenix where they spawned and the part of the trap where it will spawn. So on the 3rd layer, it should spawn inside the trap. So that's the gap we're looking for. We also want a bit of a platform to land our wyvern, so we are going outwards for that reason. Now, you can go with a 2x3 or 3x3 extension. The more you have, the easier it will be for you to land your wyvern. It's up to you how good you are with regards to flying your wyvern. Then you start from the ceiling, you add a pillar and pillar it all the way into the ground for the support. It's up to you how big you want to make this trap, but if it's just a trap, you don't want to waste and throw too many resources at it. So from this point forward, it's always bringing pillars down into the ground. Like so. So this should be enough for me to land a wyvern. Now let's talk about putting a roof inside the trap. It should work if it's close to a pillar, but as you can see, I can't place anything there. So once again, I'll come out here, put a pillar right here. This is on the 2nd snapping point. We want to put it 2 tall. Now, bear in mind, this pillar will be shorter than the ceilings, but it does act as a supporting foundation for the ceiling, allowing us to close it. And now that we've closed it, it should be fairly level. And the phoenix, remember, is down here. So I'm going to just get on my wyvern and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. It is fairly level, and from this point forward we just add another 2 levels. Now here is the finished product. Of course, it doesn't have to look exactly like this. You can make your own design up. Basically, you want 2 levels so that the phoenix can respawn on the 3rd level. That's the mechanic. That's what we've learned from the beginning of this video. So this is what you want to put into application. I will land my wyvern on the last level. We'll start off the heat wave and the phoenix should spawn in. Now, do bear in mind, on official servers and normal servers, you don't really have access to heat waves at your command. I'm only doing this for illustration purposes, just to kind of show you here. So what you'll probably want to do is you'll also want to set up a little camp here. Now, if the phoenix is flying above an area where there are bases built, then you can use the rare flower to kite it away into an area where you can build. Once it has spawned in during a heat wave, you just start blowing flames on it and wait for it to tame. If you do not tame it within the heat wave, you can then continue building the trap up. So you'll want to add another 3 levels, and on the 3rd level you'll want to have a platform for your wyvern to sit on whilst you blow flames. Very important with the wyvern. I feel like the damage does help, and you want a wyvern with a decent amount of stamina. If you are struggling to recover stamina, you might want to use 2 wyverns, so that way you can swap between wyverns. And so I'll have 1 wyvern here and 1 on the other side. When this one runs out of stamina, I will swap to the other wyvern. As I'm using that wyvern, this one will regain its stamina, so I can continue to blow fire breath on it until it is tamed. So that's pretty much it with regards to taming it. As you can see, I've got my very own phoenix, and not all that complicated once you know what to look out for. It is a rare creature just like the unicorn, definitely worth taming and having, even if it is a low level. Now for me in Ark, I always tend to go for unicorns and phoenixes if I do find them around, and I'm not really fussy with their levels just because of how hard they are to find. It does not need a saddle to ride it, as you can see. And as I said earlier in the video, the phoenix does not ever land. So what can the phoenix do? It has 3 actions. The first one will be, of course, a harvest. So it does harvest meat and kill creatures, and that's pretty much it. But what it does do with the meat, it does also, of course, cook it passively in the inventory. It will not consume it, so nothing to worry about there. It does not eat meat. I will talk about what you want to feed this creature later on in the video. Let's showcase what this beast can do. So the very first thing it can do, it has a bite. It does also spit fireballs on the right click, and you do have a crosshair where you can aim. Generally speaking, it's not very accurate. So this is the bite right here, and if you press space where the creature would normally land, it does this, and it goes into a very fast sort of flight mode. It does use up a lot of stamina, so do bear that in mind, and obviously to regenerate stamina it will need food. So what do you feed the phoenix? The phoenix likes the sulfur. So what you'll want to do, look at my phoenix's food. It does not want any form of meat, although it will cook it, but the moment I put the sulfur in its inventory, it will start consuming it and it will replenish its food. This is very important because if you have a phoenix and you don't feed it the right stuff, it will eventually starve out and die, and all that hard work will have been for absolutely nothing. Also, I feel like this flight is slightly faster than the wyverns, although it does consume stamina quite quickly. And the phoenix's stats aren't all that great. It's just a creature that looks pretty. Also important to note is that when the phoenix poops, it does poop out silica pearls, which is a very useful resource to have in the game. That is it for this video, folks. I do hope that you have enjoyed it and found it useful and informative. If you have, please don't forget to support me on the channel by hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already for more similar content from myself. And if you have just subscribed, don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new videos and content to the channel. Also, for those interested, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this, of course, you can find down below in the video's description as well as in a pinned comment from myself. Until next time, stay safe, folks.